It was a bright, sunny afternoon in a quiet little town. This wasn't a big, busy place with tall buildings or loud cars. No, this was a sleepy town, the kind where nothing fun or exciting ever seemed to happen. The streets were calm, the birds chirped, and people just went about their boring days. But today? Oh, today was going to be different. Today, a tiny girl named Mia was about to step outside and change everything. Mia was only 10 years old. She was small, even for a kid her age. She had messy pigtails that bounced when she walked, and her smile was shy, like she didn't want anyone to notice her. Most people didn't. When Mia walked down the street, grown ups passed by without a second look. Kids her age didn't pay attention either. To them, she was just a regular girl, nothing special, nothing exciting. But they were wrong. Mia had a secret. A big one. And it wasn't just her secret, it was her dog's secret, too. That dog's name was Max. Max was a scruffy little thing. His fur was brown and fuzzy, sticking out in all directions like he'd just rolled out of bed. His ears flopped down over his face, and his tail wagged back and forth like it never stopped. If you saw Max, you'd think, oh, that's just a normal dog. He looked like the kind of mutt you'd see chasing a ball or napping in the sun. Nothing fancy, nothing strange. Just a regular, everyday dog. Right? Well, that's what everyone in town thought. They saw Mia and Max together and didn't blink an eye. Cute kid, cute dog, they'd say, then walk away. But here's the thing, Max wasn't normal. Not even close. There was something about him nobody knew yet. Something big. Something wild. Can you guess what it might be? Hold on tight, because you're about to find out. Every day, Mia and Max did the same thing. They'd leave their little house and walk to the park. It wasn't far, just a few streets over, past the bakery with its yummy smells and the old tree with the funny twisty branches. Mia liked the park because it was quiet. She could sit on the grass, watch the clouds, and play with Max. He loved it too. She'd toss a stick, and Max would run after it, his little legs pumping fast. Then he'd bring it back, drop it at her feet, and wag his tail for more. It was their special time, just the two of them. Mia would hum a little song while they played a happy tune she made up herself. Everything felt normal that day. The sun was shining, the air was warm, and the park was waiting. It was peaceful. Calm. Perfect. But perfect doesn't last forever, does it? Nope. Trouble was hiding nearby, ready to jump out and shake things up. That trouble wasn't quiet or sneaky like a cat. It was loud. It was big. It came on two wheels and wore leather jackets. Can you picture it yet? Imagine the sound: rumble, 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 like thunder rolling closer and closer. Imagine the smell of gasoline and the shine of metal under the sun. That's right, Trouble was a gang of bikers, and they were about to roll right into Mia's day. What do you think happens when a tiny girl and her scruffy dog meet a bunch of tough, noisy bikers? You might think, oh no, poor Mia. But don't be so sure. This story's got a twist, a big one, and it's coming soon. Let's set the scene a little more. Mia was skipping down the sidewalk, her sneakers tapping the ground. Max trotted next to her, his leash loose in her hand. She tossed the stick again, and he darted after it, kicking up dust with his paws. She giggled as he ran back, his tongue hanging out. Good boy, Max, she said, patting his fuzzy head. The park was just ahead now. She could see the green grass and the swings swaying in the breeze. It was her happy place, and she couldn't wait to get there. She didn't know it yet, but today wasn't going to be like every other day. Today was going to be loud. Today was going to be scary. And today was going to be amazing. Think about Mia for a second. She's small, right? She's quiet. She's the kind of kid who blends into the background. If you saw her, you might not even remember her face 5 minutes later. And Max? He's just a dog, a goofy, floppy-eared dog who likes sticks. That's what the people in town saw. That's what the bikers would see, too, when they showed up. They'd look at Mia and Max and think, easy. Nothing to worry about. But looks can trick you. Sometimes the smallest people and the scruffiest dogs have the biggest surprises. Have you ever been surprised by something little that turned out to be super cool? Maybe a toy you thought was boring but ended up being awesome. That's what's coming here. Mia and Max were about to teach everyone a lesson they'd never forget. So there they were, walking along, minding their own business. The sun was high, the sky was blue, and the day felt good. Mia hummed her tune da-da-dee-da-da-dum, and Max wagged his tail to the beat. They turned the corner, getting closer to the park. Everything was fine. Everything was normal. But then, they heard it. A low growl. No, not from Max, from something else. It wasn't an animal. It was machines. Engines. Loud ones. Mia stopped humming. Max stopped wagging. They both looked up, and that's when they saw it, shadows moving fast, tires spinning, and leather jackets gleaming in the sunlight. The bikers were coming. Trouble was here. What do you think was about to happen? Picture it, a tiny girl with pigtails, a scruffy dog with a stick, and a gang of big, tough bikers roaring toward them. Sounds like a mess, right? Sounds like Mia and Max might be in danger. But wait, don't jump ahead too fast. This story's about to get wild, and it's not what you expect. Stick around, because Mia and Max have something up their sleeves, or maybe under Max's fur, that's going to flip this whole day upside down. Ready for the fun? Let's keep going. Mia was skipping down the sidewalk, her sneakers making little tapping sounds. She was happy, heading to the park with her dog, Max, like always. The sun was warm, the birds were singing, and everything felt good. But then, something changed. The ground started to shake. A loud noise filled the air. Rumble, rumble, rumble. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't a truck. It was something else. Mia stopped skipping. She looked around, her pigtails swinging. Max stopped too, his ears perking up. That's when they saw it, a gang of bikers roaring toward them. There were 5 bikers. They were big guys, loud and scary. Their bikes were shiny and black, with engines that growled like angry animals. They had tattoos on their arms, pictures of skulls and snakes. Their faces looked mean, with frowns and squinting eyes. They wore leather jackets that creaked when they moved. These weren't nice people. These were tough guys who liked trouble. And right now, they were headed straight for Mia. The bikers pulled their bikes to a stop. Tires squealed, and dust flew up in the air. They parked right in front of Mia, blocking her way. She couldn't go forward. She couldn't get to the park. She was stuck. The leader of the gang leaned forward on his bike. He was the biggest one, with a scruffy beard that looked like it hadn't been washed in weeks. His grin was nasty, showing yellow teeth. He stared down at Mia like she was a bug he wanted to squish. "Hey, kid," he said, his voice rough and loud. "What's a little shrimp like you doing out here all alone?" He laughed, a mean laugh that made Mia's tummy twist. "Where's your mommy? Did she leave you out here to cry?" His buddies thought that was hilarious. They laughed too, big booming laughs that echoed down the street. They revved their engines, vroom, vroom, making the noise even louder. The sound hurt Mia's ears. It was like they wanted to scare her on purpose. Mia froze. Her feet wouldn't move. She felt smaller than ever. Her heart started pounding, thump thump thump, like a drum in her chest. She grabbed Max's leash tighter, her fingers wrapping around it so hard her knuckles turned white. She didn't say anything. She couldn't. Her voice was stuck in her throat. She just stared up at the bikers with wide eyes, like a deer caught in headlights. She didn't know what to do. Run. Hide. Scream. Her mind was spinning. Max sat next to her. He was quiet. His fuzzy brown fur didn't move in the wind. His floppy ears stayed still. His tail wagged a little, back and forth, like nothing was wrong. He didn't bark. He didn't growl. He didn't even look scared. He just sat there, watching the bikers with his big, round eyes. That was weird, right? Most dogs would bark at loud noises or big people. But not Max. He was calm. Too calm. What was he thinking? Did he know something Mia didn't? The bikers didn't notice Max being strange. They were too busy laughing at Mia. One of them, a guy with a bald head and a scar on his cheek, pointed at Max and jeered. "Ah, look at her mutt," he said, his voice loud and mocking. "What's that thing gonna do, lick us to death?" The others roared with laughter. They slapped their knees and rocked back on their bikes. Yeah, what a tough dog, another one shouted. He's so scary, ha. They thought Max was a joke. They thought Mia was a joke too. To them, she was just a tiny kid with a silly pet. Easy to pick on. Easy to scare. The bikers moved their bikes closer. The circle got tighter. Mia could smell the gasoline now, sharp and stinky. She could feel the heat from the engines. The leader leaned down even more, his shadow falling over her. Come on, Shrimp, he said. Say something. Or are you too scared? His grin got wider, like he was having fun. His buddies kept revving their engines, vroom, 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 making the ground shake again. It was loud. It was mean. It was scary. Mia's heart beat faster. She wanted to run, but her legs felt like jelly. She wanted to yell, but her mouth wouldn't open. She was trapped. The bikers were big, and she was small. They were loud, and she was quiet. They were tough, and well, she didn't feel tough at all. But she didn't run. She didn't cry. She just stood there, holding Max's leash, staring up at them. Why didn't she run? Was she brave? Was she frozen? Or was something else going on? Max still didn't move. His tail wagged a tiny bit, like he was waiting for something. He didn't look at Mia. He looked at the bikers. His eyes followed them, watching the leader, then the bald guy, then the others. He wasn't scared. He wasn't shaking. He was just sitting there. That's not normal for a dog, is it? Dogs get jumpy when people yell. Dogs bark when strangers get close. But Max? He was different. He was quiet. He was still. What was going through his head? Why wasn't he scared like Mia? Did he know something the bikers didn't? The bikers kept laughing. Look at her face, the bald one said. She's gonna cry any second. The leader nodded. Yeah, let's see some tears, kid. They moved their bikes even closer, the tires almost touching Mia's toes. She stepped back a little, but there wasn't much room. Her back was almost against a fence now. She was cornered. Her breathing got fast, huff, huff, huff. Her hands shook. But she didn't let go of Max's leash. She held on tight, like it was the only thing keeping her steady. What was Mia thinking? Was she hoping someone would come save her? Was she wishing she'd stayed home? Or was she waiting for something? Her wide eyes didn't blink. She kept staring at the bikers, like she was studying them. And Max? He kept watching too. His tail stopped wagging now. His body got a little stiff. Something was changing. The air felt different, thicker, heavier. Can you feel it? Something big was coming. Something the bikers didn't expect. The leader laughed again. What's wrong, Shrimp? Too scared to talk? He revved his engine one more time, vroom, and leaned closer. His shadow covered Mia completely now. She looked so tiny next to him. So weak. So alone. But was she really? Look at Max. Look at his eyes. Look at how calm he is. What's going on here? Why isn't he scared? Why isn't Mia running? You'll see soon enough. This story's about to get crazy. The bikers weren't done with Mia yet. They were having too much fun being mean. The leader, the big guy with the scruffy beard, decided to make things worse. He swung his leg over his bike and hopped off. His boots hit the ground with a loud thud. He stepped closer to Mia, so close she could smell the stinky leather of his jacket. He was tall, way taller than her. He towered over her like a giant, his shadow stretching across the sidewalk. Mia looked tiny next to him, like a mouse next to a bear. Hand over that stick, kid, he said, his voice rough and loud. He pointed at the stick in Mia's hand, the one she'd been tossing for Max. His nasty grin grew bigger, showing his crooked teeth. Give it to me now, or maybe we'll take your little dog instead. He laughed, a mean, ugly laugh. His friends cheered him on, clapping and yelling like it was a game. Yeah, grab the mutt, one shouted. Let's see if he can ride a bike, another joked. They thought they'd scared Mia so bad she'd give up. They thought she was weak. They thought wrong. Mia's hands shook. The stick wobbled in her fingers. Her heart was beating fast, thump, 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 like it wanted to jump out of her chest. She was scared. Who wouldn't be? 5 big bikers were all around her, laughing and yelling. Their bikes roared vroom, vroom, and the noise made her ears hurt. But Mia didn't cry. She didn't drop the stick. She didn't run. Instead, she did something quiet. Something secret. She whispered something so soft, so low, that no one heard it. Not the bikers. Not the wind. Not even the birds in the trees. It was just a tiny sound, lost in the air. But Max heard it. Oh yes, Max heard it loud and clear. His floppy ears perked up, standing straight like little triangles. His tail stopped wagging, just like that. He didn't look goofy anymore. He didn't look like a silly mutt chasing sticks. Something changed in him. His fuzzy brown fur seemed to stand up a little. His eyes got sharp, like he was focusing hard. He didn't move much, just a tiny shift, a little step closer to Mia. His body got tense, like a spring ready to pop. What did Mia say? Why did Max change? The bikers didn't see it. They were too busy being loud and dumb. The leader kept grinning. What's wrong, Shrimp? He said. Too scared to move. He reached out with his big hand, ready to snatch the stick. His buddies kept laughing. Look at her, the bald one yelled. She's gonna cry any second. Another one revved his engine vroom, and shouted, poor little baby and her dumb dog. They were so loud, so mean, they didn't notice anything else. They didn't see Max's ears. They didn't see his tail stop. They didn't see Mia's face change. Because Mia wasn't crying. Nope. She wasn't even close to tears. Her hands were shaky, sure, but her eyes? Her eyes were different now. They weren't wide and scared anymore. They were sharp. They were watching. She looked at the leader, then at the bald guy, then at the others. She stared at them like she was figuring something out. Like she knew something they didn't. Her lips moved again, just a little, whispering something else. So quiet. So secret. What was she saying? What was she planning? Can you guess? Max moved again. Just a tiny bit. He took one small step forward, his paw silent on the ground. His body was low now, like he was ready to jump. His eyes locked on the leader, watching that big hand reaching for the stick. The bikers didn't see it. They were too busy making dumb jokes. What's the dog gonna do? One laughed. Bark us away? Ha! They slapped their legs and rocked back on their bikes. Stupid kid, stupid mutt, another said. They thought they had Mia trapped. They thought they were in charge. Oh, how wrong they were. The leader's hand got closer. His fingers were almost on the stick now. Mia's hands shook harder, but she held on tight. She didn't let go. She didn't back down. She whispered one more time, soft, soft, soft. Max's ears twitched. His body got even tenser, like a rubber band stretched to the limit. Something was coming. Something big. The air felt heavy. The noise from the bike seemed far away. Everything slowed down for a second. Can you feel it? Something was about to happen, something wild. The bikers kept laughing. Give it up, kid, the leader growled. His hand was so close now, just inches from the stick. His buddies cheered louder. Take it. Take it, they yelled. They thought they'd won. They thought Mia was helpless. They thought Max was nothing. But Mia's eyes stayed sharp. She didn't blink. She didn't move. She just watched. And Max? He was ready. His tail was still. His ears were up. His muscles were tight. He wasn't a goofy dog anymore. He was something else. Something the bikers didn't expect. What did Mia whisper? Why was Max so calm? Why wasn't Mia crying like they thought? The bikers didn't know. They didn't care. They were too busy being mean, too busy being loud. But Mia knew. Max knew. And soon, very soon, the bikers would know too. Something was building up. Something was about to burst. The leader's hand stretched out. The stick shook in Mia's grip. Max's eyes narrowed. The moment was here. Can you feel your heart beating faster? Can you guess what's next? Don't stop now, keep watching. This story's about to get crazy. The bikers thought they were tough. They thought they were smart. They thought a little girl and her dog were easy to pick on. But they missed the signs. They didn't see Max change. They didn't hear Mia's whispers. They didn't feel the air get thick. Trouble was coming, not for Mia, not for Max, but for them. "What do you think?" Mia said to her dog. "What do you think Max is going to do? Stick around, because the next part is going to blow your mind." The bikers were so sure they had Mia beat. The leader, the big guy with the scruffy beard, was grinning like he'd already won. His hand shot out, fast and greedy, reaching for the stick Mia held tight. He lunged forward, his boots stomping the ground, his fingers wiggling to grab it. He thought Mia would just give up. He thought she was too scared to fight back. He thought wrong. That's when everything changed. Mia didn't freeze this time. She didn't shake. She took one quick step back, her sneakers squeaking on the sidewalk. Her eyes were sharp, like a hawk watching its prey. Then she opened her mouth and said one loud, clear word, "Max, now." Her voice wasn't quiet anymore. It wasn't shy. It rang out, strong and sure, cutting through the noise of the bikers' engines. And then it happened. Max, the scruffy little dog with floppy ears, turned into something else. He wasn't a goofy mutt anymore. In a flash, he sprang up, all muscle and speed. His fuzzy brown fur bristled. His eyes locked on the leader, fierce and bright. Before anyone could blink, bam, Max leaped off the ground. His teeth were out, shiny and sharp. A deep growl rumbled from his chest, loud and scary, like a lion waking up. He flew through the air, straight at the leader. The bikers stumbled back. Their eyes got huge. Their mouths dropped open. "What the?" the leader yelled, his voice cracking. He didn't even finish his sentence. Max hit him like a furry rocket. His teeth clamped onto the leader's sleeve, chomp, and he pulled hard. The big guy went down, tumbling to the ground with a loud thud. Dust flew up around him. His nasty grin was gone now. He looked scared, really scared. Max didn't stop. This wasn't just any dog. He moved like a machine, fast, smart, and strong. He let go of the leader and darted between the bikers. His legs were a blur. He barked loud commands, woof, woof, grr, sounds the bikers didn't understand. He zipped around them, so quick they couldn't keep up. One biker, the bald guy, tried to step back, but Max was faster. He ran under the guy's legs, and oops, the biker tripped over his own boots. Down he went, crashing into his bike with a big clang. Another biker swung his arm, trying to grab Max. Bad idea. Max dodged, spinning like a top, and nipped at the guy's pants. The biker yelped and jumped back, falling right on his butt. The others tried to run, but Max was everywhere. He barked and growled, herding them like sheep. Their big, tough bikes didn't help them now. They were a mess, stumbling, yelling, tripping over each other. It was chaos. Mia stood tall. Her shy smile was gone. She didn't look small anymore. She didn't look scared. She crossed her arms and watched the bikers fall apart. Then she spoke, her voice calm and clear. "He's a K9 dog," she said simply. "Trained to protect me." That was it, just a few words. But those words hit like a thunderbolt. The bikers froze. The leader, still on the ground, looked up at her, his face white. What?" he sputtered, spitting dirt from his mouth. "Let's break it down, because this is the big surprise. Max wasn't a regular dog. He was a K9 dog, a special kind of dog trained by the police. He knew how to fight. He knew how to guard. He knew how to take down bad guys. A long time ago, Max worked with cops, chasing crooks and keeping people safe. But then he got old, not too old to fight, but old enough to retire. The police gave him to Mia's family to live a quiet life. They wanted him to protect Mia, just in case. And now, that just in case was here. The bikers never saw it coming. They thought Mia was just some helpless kid. They thought Max was a dumb mutt who'd lick their boots. Ha! Who's laughing now? Not them. The leader scrambled to his knees, his sleeve torn where Max had grabbed it. "Get that thing off me," he shouted, but his buddies were too busy falling over themselves. Max barked again, woof, and ran circles around them. He was in charge now. The bikers weren't tough anymore. They were scared. They were confused. They were done. Mia watched it all. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. She didn't need to whisper now, everyone could hear her. "You shouldn't mess with us," she said, looking down at the leader. Her voice was steady, like she'd known this would happen all along. Max stopped running and stood by her side. His growl was low, his eyes still on the bikers. He was ready for more, but he didn't need to do more. The fight was over. The bikers were beat. Think about it. 1 minute, the bikers were big and loud, picking on a little girl. The next minute, that little girl and her dog turned the tables. Max wasn't just fast, he was smart. He knew exactly what to do. And Mia? She wasn't just some kid, she was brave. She trusted Max. She gave him the signal, and he took over. The bikers didn't expect a dog to fight like that. They didn't expect Mia to stand up to them. They judged her wrong, and now they were paying for it. The leader tried to stand, but his legs wobbled. "Call him off," he begged, his voice high and shaky. His buddies didn't help, they were too busy picking themselves up. One guy's bike was tipped over, its wheel spinning in the air. Another guy rubbed his sore butt, groaning. They looked silly now, not scary. Max growled one more time, just to make sure they got the point. Then he sat down next to Mia, his tail wagging a little like he was proud. The truth was out. Mia wasn't helpless. Max wasn't a joke. They were a team, a tough, smart, unbeatable team. The bikers learned that the hard way. Their mean laughs were gone. Their tough faces were gone. All they had left was dirt on their clothes and big, wide eyes. "Who's the shrimp now, huh?" "Not Mia." She stood there, strong and sure, with Max by her side. The big reveal was done, and it was awesome. In just a few minutes, everything flipped upside down. The bikers weren't big and tough anymore. They were a mess. They were sprawled all over the ground, arms and legs everywhere. Their shiny bikes were tipped over, some on their sides, some leaning against each other. Wheels spun in the air, making a little whirring sound. The leader, the guy with the scruffy beard, was flat on his back, his torn sleeve flapping. His buddies were yelling at each other, their voices high and panicky. "Get up," one shouted. "Run," another cried. But they couldn't. They were too clumsy, too scared, too beat. Max stood guard. He didn't run around anymore. He didn't need to. He planted his paws on the ground, strong and steady. His fuzzy brown fur puffed up a little, making him look bigger. He growled lower like a warning. His eyes stayed on the bikers, daring them to try something else. "Move," that growl said, "and I'll get you again." The bikers didn't move. They didn't dare. Max had shown them he was the boss now. Mia crossed her arms. She didn't look small or shy anymore. She stood tall, her pigtails bouncing a little in the breeze. She looked down at the leader, who was still on the ground, rubbing his arm. Her face was calm, but her eyes were serious. "You shouldn't pick on people," she said. Her voice was clear, not loud, not mean, just strong. "Especially when you don't know who they are." She didn't yell. She didn't need to. Her words hit the leader like a slap. He blinked up at her, his mouth open, but he didn't say anything back. What could he say? Mia was right, and he knew it. The bikers were done. Their tough act was over. The bald guy tried to stand, but his legs wobbled, and he fell back down with a groan. Another guy crawled to his bike, but it was too heavy to lift. "Help me," he whined, but his friends were too busy helping themselves. The leader just sat there, staring at Max, his face pale. "That dog," he muttered. "That crazy dog," he couldn't believe it. None of them could. They'd picked the wrong kid and the wrong dog to mess with. Just then, a new sound cut through the air. Wee-oh-oh, wee-oh-oh. It was a police siren, loud and sharp, coming closer. Mia looked up. Max's ears perked. The bikers froze. Someone nearby must have seen the whole thing, maybe an old lady in her window or a kid on a porch. Someone called for help, and now the cops were on their way. The bikers scrambled, trying to get up fast. "Go, go," the leader yelled, but it was too late. Tires screeched as a police car zoomed around the corner. Red and blue lights flashed, bright in the sun. The car stopped, and two officers jumped out. They were big guys in blue uniforms, with shiny badges on their chests. They saw the mess right away. Bikes tipped over, bikers on the ground, Mia standing tall, and Max growling low. One cop, a tall one with short hair, looked at Max and grinned. He knew what was up. Well, he said. If it isn't Max. He walked over and knelt down. Good boy, Max, he said, giving him a pat on the head. Max wagged his tail just a little, like he was saying, thanks. The other cop, a lady with a ponytail, looked at the bikers. What's going on here? She asked, her voice firm. The leader tried to talk. We were just, he stammered, but he couldn't finish. The lady cop raised an eyebrow. Looks like you picked the wrong fight, she said. She glanced at Max, then at Mia. You okay, kid? Mia nodded. Yeah, she said. Max took care of it. The cops smiled. They knew Max was special. They knew he was a canine dog, a hero dog, and they weren't surprised he'd won. The bikers didn't have a chance now. The tall cop grabbed the leader by the arm and pulled him up. You're coming with us, he said. The leader groaned, but he didn't fight. The lady cop rounded up the others. On your feet, she ordered. The bald guy whined, but that dog attacked us. The lady cop shook her head. Looks like you attacked first, she said. And Max? He's trained to stop trouble. You're the trouble. The bikers hung their heads. They knew they were caught. In no time, the cops had all 5 bikers lined up. They put shiny handcuffs on their wrists. Click, click, click. The bikers muttered and grumbled, still talking about that crazy dog. I didn't sign up for this, one said. Who knew the mud was nuts, another mumbled. The cops didn't care. They pushed the bikers into the back of the police car, one by one. The doors slammed shut, bang, bang, and the sirens started again. Wee-oh-oh, wee-oh-oh. The car drove off, taking the bikers away. They weren't laughing now. They weren't tough now. They were just mad and a little sore. Mia watched them go. She didn't say much. She didn't need to. Max sat next to her, his growl gone. He looked up at her with his big, round eyes, like he was saying, we did it. Mia smiled, a real smile this time, not a shy one. She bent down and picked up the stick, the same stick the leader tried to take. Good job, Max, she said softly. She tossed it a few feet away. Max barked woof, and ran after it, his tail wagging fast. He grabbed it in his mouth and brought it back, dropping it at her feet. Just like always. The street was quiet now. No more engines. No more yelling. The bikes were still there, tipped over and messy, but the cops would deal with them later. Mia looked around. The park was just ahead, the green grass, the swings, the trees. It was hers again. The bikers couldn't stop her. They tried, but they lost. She and Max were too strong, too smart, too good. Mia started walking. Max trotted next to her, the stick in his mouth. The sun was still shining. The birds were singing again. Everything was back to normal, well, almost. People peeked out of windows and doors now, whispering to each other. Did you see that? One said. That little girl and her dog took down those guys, another gasped. Mia didn't hear them. She didn't care. She just wanted to get to the park and play with Max. That's all that mattered. The bikers were gone. Justice was served. They'd picked on Mia, thinking she was weak. They'd laughed at Max, thinking he was dumb. But they learned the hard way, don't mess with Mia and Max. They were a team, a tough, brave, awesome team. And now, the town knew it too. The sun was going down now. The sky turned orange and pink, like a big painting over the town. Mia and Max walked home, side by side, their shadows stretching long on the ground. Mia's sneakers tapped the sidewalk. Max's tail wagged, the stick still in his mouth. They looked happy, like nothing big had happened. Just a girl and her dog, heading home after a day at the park. But it wasn't just any day. Oh no, this day was special. This day was one the town would never forget. Think about it. A little girl, small, quiet Mia, and her scruffy dog Max took down a gang of tough bikers. Those guys were big. They were loud. They had tattoos and shiny bikes and mean laughs. They thought they could scare anyone. They thought Mia was nothing. They thought Max was a joke. But they were wrong, super wrong. Mia and Max showed them up. They won. And they didn't just win a little, they won big. The bikers ended up on the ground, yelling and running, while Mia and Max stood tall. How cool is that? The town saw it all, or at least, they heard about it fast. People peeked out their windows when the police took the bikers away. Kids ran to tell their friends. Did you hear? That little girl and her dog beat those guys. Grown ups shook their heads, amazed. Who knew, they said. She's so small, and that dog, he looks so goofy. The story spread like wildfire, from house to house, street to street. By night, everyone in town was talking about Mia and Max. They weren't just a girl and her pet anymore. They were heroes. Here's the big thing to think about: sometimes, the smallest ones have the biggest surprises. Mia didn't look strong. She was tiny, with messy pigtails and a shy smile. Max didn't look tough. He was fuzzy, with floppy ears and a wagging tail. Nobody thought they could do much. The bikers sure didn't. They judged Mia and Max by how they looked: small, quiet, weak. But looks can trick you. Inside, Mia was brave. Inside, Max was smart and fast. They had something special, something hidden, and when it came out, bam, it changed everything. So next time you see someone quiet, someone small, don't be so quick to judge. Maybe they're hiding something awesome. Maybe they've got a secret, like Mia did. Maybe they've got a Max, a friend, or a skill, or a spark waiting to show the world who's boss. You never know what's under the surface. That kid who doesn't talk much in class. He might be a genius at drawing. That little dog at the park. She might be the fastest runner ever. People and dogs can surprise you. Mia and Max proved that. What about you? Have you ever been surprised by someone small or quiet? Maybe a friend who seemed shy but then did something super cool? Or a pet that turned out to be way smarter than you thought? I bet you've got a story like that. And what did you think of this twist? Did you guess Max was a canine dog, or did it shock you when he jumped those bikers? Tell me in the comments, I want to know. Oh, and one more thing, have you ever met a dog as cool as Max? Maybe your dog is a hero too, let me hear about it. Mia and Max didn't need to brag. They didn't need to shout. They just walked home as the sun set, happy and calm. The town would talk about them for days, maybe weeks. But for Mia and Max, it was just another day, well, a day with a little extra fun. They showed everyone that you don't have to be big to be strong. You don't have to be loud to win. You just have to be yourself and maybe have a secret up your sleeve. See you in the next story, where more surprises are waiting.